Just yesterday, Trae AI released their new solo mode. I got early access to it, so let's jump in and see the differences. So as soon as you open up the new terminal experience, you're going to notice it looks kind of different. We now on the left-hand side have our AI tools rather than on the right, and up on the top we see some different tabs like the editor, the terminal, the browser, and the doc view, which we're going to jump into. So editor is the experience that we're all used to, and at any time you can actually click this solo toggle up in the top to switch back between the old legacy version of Tray where you can select your model and do anything like that, or to the new solo experience, which we're going to experiment with today. So the biggest benefit of Tray Solo is that it's actually really good at planning. So I figured the best way to demonstrate this would actually be to go through and just build an app from scratch. So I'm going to intentionally give it some kind of vague requirements, but we're going to see what it figures out and where it kind of struggles still. So I have an idea of the app in my head, and you'll notice there's some cool things here. Like we can actually talk directly into Tray, and instead of having to type out what we want, we can actually just use this new voice mode. So you don't have to install like some secondary app now. So I think what I want to build here is an app that'll help me search for flights that are coming up shortly, and let's say I'm super flexible and the time frame doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and detail out a couple of requirements, and we're going to see the power of this new doc view that it's going to create. Okay, so my prompt here is let's build an app called Nomad Flights. The app is meant for flexible travelers that are okay with traveling basically at any time. They should be able to input a base airport and see flights to different destinations on a whim. As a user, I can just click a button, maybe insert some general travel preferences like tomorrow versus next week, and let's focus on short-term trips like 2 to 3 days. Be sure to only use real data and do not mock anything. Let's make it a Next.js app that uses ShadCN for the UI and Clerk for the login. We should have a UX with Apple-like quality. I'm also going to add in here real quick a little bit more of what I want out of this. So let's focus on the short-term trips like 2 to 3 days. But I also want to say give me some control over where it is. Okay, so I basically had to give the users some control over it, but generally our goal is to suggest things to them and make it really easy to make a decision for their next flight. Cool. So now we're going to go ahead and actually see the power of Trey Solo. So we have this prompt. I wouldn't say it's too vague, but we really just listed out a couple of basic requirements. So let's go ahead and watch it work. So once you click off send, it's actually going to go ahead and build out a PRD first. So like a product requirements doc. And this is actually really cool. Interestingly, this is the second time I've tried it, and it seems to not want to use Next.js. It seems to always want to go back to React and Vue or something, um, which is interesting. I'm definitely going to change that to be Vite or something, but you'll see that it's going to go ahead and start printing out this requirements doc. And so we'll go ahead and just let this run here. Okay, cool. So you'll see step one of Trace Solo is now building a requirements doc first. So it's really meant to go from 0 to 100. Like that's kind of the goal here. So you can see it's going to go ahead and generate the product overview, core features, and then a whole bunch of features that we kind of listed out here. So I'm going to quickly just read through here. We're even generating some interesting diagrams to kind of um, show the flow of the app here, but I'm really interested, how is it going to actually get the data for the flight? So let's go ahead and read through here. You can see it says display real-time flight options, but how is it going to actually do that? Also interesting to note, you can actually go through here and actually edit this. So if I was in, I think I have to stay in this tab, but I'm going to find where it was trying to use Vue and actually switch that to be Vite and React. So there was like a way to actually search in here. It looks like I'm gonna have to manually look for it. Actually, I think I might just tell it to switch certain things. So I'm gonna ask, what are you going to use for the flight data? Please use instead of next. Okay, cool. So this will actually update the doc for us, which is great. Oh, so it's actually stored in here. Okay, so we could have just searched through this ourselves. Oh, interesting. It actually didn't mention this at all. Okay, so it looks like it found something. I've never heard of this before. Um, but let's take a look. Okay, so it says it should be updated. So let's go to the doc view. Actually see, did it add anything in here? Okay, for some reason it didn't want to auto update it, which is weird, but I'm gonna have it go ahead and do that first. Okay, so it looks like it added in here Reacts. Let's see, what did it end up doing for this? Okay, interesting. Okay, interesting. So in the diff view, we can actually see it's added a little bit more information about the technical architecture. I did have to like kind of prompt this a little bit, so kind of cheating, but honestly, like I think I was just kind of too vague on what I wanted. But it was really weird that it said it prefers not to use Next.js, so that is strange. So I'm gonna go ahead and just edit this a little bit. Let's just try to use Google Flights as the backup. I don't think there is an API. Okay, we're gonna say maybe try Google Flights as the backup. It really went all in, like using background jobs for price monitoring and alerts. Like this is a lot. This is a lot of things that it wants to do. It's pretty ambitious. Um, so let's go ahead and see how it does. So again, this is our final requirements doc, and all we have to do is press ready to build. Cool. And off to the races we go. So as I mentioned, there are these different tabs up here. And something cool you can do is you can actually click this flow button and it'll just follow along Tray as it goes. So as it switches between tools or switches between different files, you'll kind of just follow it along and it's kind of cool to watch. So I'm going to let this run. No idea how long it'll take. It's currently 11:36 p.m. So we will see when this finishes. Okay, so just as it's starting, we can see it created the Vite project. It's also adding TanStack into here, which is kind of cool. Still kind of curious, why did it not want to use Next.js? But again, we're just going to let this thing fully rip, very minimal, just coming off the requirements doc here. Also, sometimes it brings up these prompts in the terminal, and I've noticed you still do have to click through these, like it won't auto select something for you. So I have to manually input here what I want. Okay, important to note here, I did specifically say don't use mock data, and it just created a giant mock data class as you saw right here. Um, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to still let it run, but I might come back and tell it to actually clean this up. Was that in my requirements document about the fake data? Oh, I guess it didn't make it into the requirements doc, even though I specified it in the prompt. So I guess that's my bad on missing that. But why is it using Vercel if it just told me it doesn't want to do Next.js? That's interesting. Oh, this information is saying the API endpoint, so maybe we would come back and clean that up at some point. Okay, let's go back to flow mode. So interesting note here, while this is going, you can see it's generating a lot of lines of code and it's going to keep going, but this actually only costs one API credit. So if I actually go into my tray usage here, you'll see I'm at 293. By the time this is done, and I'm guessing it's going to do a lot more, we'll still be at 293. So this is kind of insane right now. I'm not sure how they're supporting this just on one like request token right now. Wow, okay. So it says the application is now complete with all core features implemented. Let's check it out. So they do have this deploy button, which I haven't messed around with. So I'm just going to open this up locally. Okay, cool. Let's see how this does. Nice. So this is a pretty good landing page here. Let's actually check how I remember we wanted to use Clerk for the login. This button doesn't do anything, but it looks like I can still go, oh, at least between these two pages. Oh no, this broke a little bit. Let's see. Let's just hard refresh and try again. So let's just start from the basics. So like, let's say we're at LAX and I want to travel this weekend, 3 days, sure. We'll up the budget a little bit. Basically anything. Find my next adventure. Okay, so this definitely looks hard coded. Um, let's go back and tell it to only use real data and to actually implement Clerk and all these other features because we never put in any API keys. Okay, so a couple issues here. I said, please ensure we're only using real data and no mocks anywhere. I also said, additionally, some of the tabs don't work, like history and preferences, and we can't sign in with Clerk. So this is going to be our second request, but I think otherwise it's only considered one usage still, 293, 293. Yeah, and it's also 11:49 right now. So whenever I said that this started, that's how long it took. So let's go ahead and try. Also, really impressive when I've been using Trae AI before. The model would either run out of context and tell me I had to use another credit to continue. But as you're seeing here, I only used one credit and it's able to blow through. Like, let's see how many files it actually created. It's able to blow through creating all of these at the same time while mostly following the requirements, it seems like. We'll see how it actually ends up implementing some of these other features. But so far, the UI looks good at least. Okay, it looks like it just completely skipped adding clerk. So we'll see how it does. Also, good to note here, I think if you were actually a little bit more serious about your prompt and editing that product requirements doc a little bit, I think this would go a lot smoother. I think I'm just trying to kind of get this out now and see how it does. Okay, so it did add an end file here. Um, This is interesting. We'll see if it's going to actually give me like a little tutorial on what I need to sign up for and what I don't. But in the meantime, I am going to sign up for whatever this service is. I've never heard of this before. Cool. So it's 12:02 a.m. and it looks like it just finished removing all that mock data. So let's see how it actually did here. So yeah, interestingly, we can see we're now at 294 per request. So all of that, which was pretty long and a lot of changes, still only one request right now. So all that, all these changes, still only one request right now. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. So let's take this from the start and let's see how it does. So I'm like reusing a clerk key here, so I can go ahead and sign in. So I'll go ahead and do that. Nice. So this is actually my clerk account that I use on my other project. So that's all good and correct now. Let's see. Can we navigate? Nice. Okay, this is great. So we can actually navigate between all of these different things, and it looks like we can customize our different budget ranges, our max flight duration, and wow, there's a lot of settings in here. I'm not actually sure how this is all going to be persisted, but we'll go ahead and try. So I'm going to go ahead and save some preferences here. Um, say these two are my favorite, and then go ahead to yeah, let's just go back to the homepage. It looks like this is having trouble getting us back to the homepage. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and just try. Departure, let's say we're at LAX. Nice. Sure, we'll do this weekend, trip duration 3 days. Actually, let's do next week, 3 days. Budget, let's just say 850, and let's say we would like the city. So find my next adventure. Okay. No flights found. Ah, I wonder why. Okay, back to search. Oh, that button doesn't work. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and just like put this all the way up. Trip duration like 4 days. I'll even do like JFK or something. And we'll do when do I want to travel next week. And then we'll do any of these. Okay, so this looked like it actually worked for some reason. I'm not sure why LAX didn't. Is this a real flight? Let's see, view details. Okay, so it doesn't want to actually let us click on here, which is interesting. There is a feature in here where you can actually like select an element on here and like add it to the context and talk about it. So maybe we'll do that here. Okay, so it does seem like maybe for the first time it's actually struggling to make this change. It keeps running into this same console error here. Interestingly, in like I mentioned in the normal tray, I normally would have to use up multiple requests to solve these issues. Like it would often run out of context. But amazingly, this is all still in the same chat. I've not created a new chat like I do in Cursor all the time, or in the old version of Tray. So this is actually still really interesting to see. Okay, and it looks like this is actually finishing up here, so let's go ahead and see how this does. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's just refresh. We'll go to the home page. Let's do the same thing here. I did already add these, so it should work, right? Yeah, I don't see anything in the console. Okay, so let's do JFK. So next week, so 3 days, $900, and I don't know, pretty much anything. Yeah, lots of errors here, but this is a little bit more interesting. So let's see if this Miami flight is actually real. So I can't click into it still. Okay, let's just see if it'll figure it out. I'm not sure what's the problem. Again, I think if I put a little bit more work into the initial prompt or into the requirements doc, I think this would have gone a little bit smoother. I think we're coming up on like, I don't know, 45 minutes total from when I did the first prompt. And granted, I've been like just playing around with it a bit more and not being super specific, but overall, this is still really cool to see and such an improvement on the previous version of Trae AI. Okay, it looks like it is now ready again. Cool. All right, let's try our test again. JFK, this weekend, yeah, 3 days is fine. And then we'll bump this up and we'll do pretty much anything. Cool. Wait, where'd that Miami one go? Okay. So this one's still here. Can I view details now? No, why can I not view the details? Yeah, I'm still running into issues here. It doesn't seem to want to actually use whatever this API is. Oh, is the problem the weather? Oh, this is weird. Oh, wait, these are old logs. Oh, we're in this one now. Yeah, to be so fair, flight APIs are just like not really a good thing, I guess. It would be great if Google actually released one. But I don't know. We'll see if there's an alternative, and if not, I don't think I'm gonna ding Trey AI for that because the flight APIs are definitely a challenge. Oh, it looks like it's just an issue with navigation, and it does actually work, but the navigation doesn't. Interesting. Okay, does not want to update that page still, but if we manually refresh, it does go to this page. Let's see if this is a real flight. Also, SFO to MIA, we definitely did not pick San Francisco. We definitely did JFK. So it does seem like there's some issues with the actual flight API, but I think we kind of get the idea. And flight APIs are like pretty complicated. Like I don't really know why this is feeling so hard, and also it's like 12:30 a.m. and I'd like to go to bed and like don't feel like actually diving in and figuring this out. But I do hope this was kind of interesting to watch how Trey AI works, kind of generating that requirement stock, going through and using really only one request to do the majority of the work. Again, if I didn't have so many issues with the prompting or like put a little bit more time into it, I really wrote the prompt in like less than 30 seconds. Would have been a much smoother experience. But overall, this is really cool, and I love the direction this is heading. So much better than the original Trey AI, where again, I was running into so many context issues. I could really see this becoming something powerful in the future. And I think this is kind of the way everything is shifting, right? Is to into this context dependent model of like managing the context and still doing everything in maybe one chat or I don't know, like, but this is a really interesting shift, and I love to see the direction of kind of going into that product requirements doc direction. Like, that is awesome to see, and I love this. Um, so again, let's go ahead and check how many we actually ended up using. 301. So I think we probably used like six or seven in total today. Um, Pretty cool to actually test this out. And plus, I think Trey is giving out like 200 extra bonus ones. Um, so your mileage may vary, but I have had a little bit better success with some of the other apps I tried. I do think that again, the Flight API is a little bit too tough of a task to tackle right now without some additional input on the requirements doc, which I definitely could do. But if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments. Maybe I'll do another deep dive on Trey Solo and actually give it something a little bit more interesting to do rather than just like hacking together an idea I had because this just dropped. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you later.